trying to figure out to make sure that we get everything just right for you. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the Onocoffee channel. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about what we've been talking about for the last couple of days, adjusting the grind for your espresso. If you're just joining the very first time, we are looking at adjusting the grind for our espresso. We started a few days ago and still have not completed because, we just keep getting a little bit distracted with questions. So if you have questions about coffee, feel free to drop them in the comments here, or if you're watching the replay down below, and we'll talk about it. I love to talk about your questions, but every time we talk about questions, we just take a little bit more time, and, we're getting there. Plus, I hope I'm sounding better to you today. Let me know how it sounds. The last live stream we did a couple of days ago, one of my YouTube friends, Sound Speeds Alan, stopped by and he's like, man, your camera, your audio sounds terrible. Like, he was really nice about it, but like, I know union guys that are in sound because that's what I used to do. And he was basically like, dude, your sound sounds like shit. So now make that correction. I was trying to figure out what is going on here. And you know what? Turns out the problem was a bonehead move on my part. Somewhere along the way, I must have disconnected the transmitter or the receiver from the camera. I'm using the Sony ZV E10 camera, and he came on. He was like, your sound sounds like crap, and I was like, all right, let me look at it. And I thought that, okay, I'm using a wireless transmitter. It should be sounding good. He's like, and then I made some changes. He's like, no, it still sounds like crap. And I was like, I don't know what happened. He's like, I just keep going. So we kept going. And then I look later, because what I was trying to figure out is like, whenever you plug a microphone into your camera, it bypasses the onboard microphone in the camera itself, which is what Alan was hearing, what all of you had been hearing. And I didn't understand why it didn't bypass it. So I was really surprised that it would run. And, because normally if there was a problem, it would just cut out. And some of you have experienced this where there was just no sound at all. Well, it turns out I plugged the microphone thing into the wrong plug on the camera, so it wasn't even feeding it. And I was like, so I've gone through all of this work over how many days, making sure that the transmitters and receivers are working, but it wasn't even plugged in the right place. So, you make mistakes and get along the way. Mom, good morning to you. Coffee Cove, how are you? Good to see you. We sound good. All right, good. Kent, hello. How are you, man? Naomi says, hello. How are you? Down in Bama. Okay, so let's go to our brewing here, our adjusting of the grind. Now that we've taken so long to do this, when we started a few days earlier this week, I was all a bit cavalier, right? I tend to be a little bit cavalier because, you know what? I got a whole hopper full of coffee and I don't have to worry, right? I got plenty of coffee, and I had the other day when we started, I think I had one of the buckets of our espresso here. So I have 15 pounds of espresso sitting around. I've taken that since back to the space, but now we are here at this point. Look at this now, and I'm sure all of you have experienced this at some point. You only have a finite amount of coffee and a very small amount of coffee. Like this is maybe not even half a pound, quarter pound maybe of coffee, something like that. So how many shots are we going to be able to pull out? So remember, in a pound of coffee, there's only 453 grams. So if you're using 20 grams of coffee at a time, you don't really have a lot of shots to deal with. So now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, we're well under a pound, maybe under half a pound by now. And so we need to be as frugal and careful as possible with our waste of the coffee, right? Because now we need to be as tight as we possibly can. And of course, if you're using a grinder like the Mazda Major, it's not the greatest grinder for this thing, right? There's always going to be a little bit of excess because of the way that it works. If you're using a home grinder or one of these more fancier grinders that are just single dosing grinders, it's going to be a lot more efficient for you to conserve your coffee. In my case here, I have plenty of commercial grinders lying around. Like I've got another probably 6 in a storage space right now. So I'm at a point where I really can't buy it. I really don't want to buy more grinders, right? So even in a case like this, we'll just live with that. it will take me how many tens of decades of years to waste enough coffee to justify the expense that it would cost me to save money on the wasted coffee, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Russell's with us. How are you, Russell? Okay, so let's go back here. First of all, what we do is we're going to, since it has been like 2 days, we need to pull a shot again, see where we are in this process, and then decide what kind of adjustments we want to make. So let's go here and let's go here. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so we've got our machines running, and we're going to make sure that our portafilter is clean and dry. And then let's go back to this spot. Zoom in a bit. There we are. I'll put this on here, tear it out. Good. Now we're going to grind. And if you happen to catch the live stream that I did on Tuesday night, we were finding out that, you know, for 19 grams that they're using at the food market, the 21 grams we're using here, I've been overfilling it a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this around just a little bit, right? But we already know this is going to be like 23 grams, maybe 23, 24, 23 grams. Let's see, 23 grams, is that true? Oh, 24, Okay, so what we're going to do is we want to get rid of all that. So I got rid of all of that. And then we've got some here on the sides as well as on here. And now, because I'm going to be very frugal about my wastage, I want to reuse as much as I can, or at least reclaim as much as I can. So now let's go to measure that. 21.4. I feel like the magic is coming back. Let's go back here. Now we're going to make sure that it's evenly distributed, right? So just, you don't have to do that. I just did that because I felt insecure about it. So I just wanted to move that around. Now, you know, I'm glad that we got the sound working, because a lot of times in the last few days, I'll talk a little bit more gently because the microphone is really right here. So I don't need to like project, but if the camera is like maybe like 4 feet away, 5 from me. So it's like, all right, let's do a little twist there. And oh, look at that. See, I totally mucked it up at the last moment. Everything was good, but at the last one when I did the twist, I actually leaned forward a little bit. So you can see it's slightly at an angle. Okay. Oops. Flush the group head, make sure it runs clean and no sputtering, good. And then now we're going to put the portafilter in, lock it in place, turn the flow on, add our coffee. Oh, looks like we're getting some good timing. Okay, see how light, or like it didn't have very much opacity to it? It was kind of, that's terrible. Good God, look at that. So what I was talking about, when it first started, it had this coloration that was very brown, almost like a translucent brown. That tells me that the coffee that we're using in this shot, there was excess coffee that must have been in the hopper that had been staling for the last couple of days. That did not look nice. And if you remember the other days of making espresso here, this espresso crema is much paler than the last several times we've been doing it. So let's go back here and see what we got. Yeah, see, that to me just doesn't look as exciting. It's kind of evenly like more blondie, like a lighter tan, more of a tan color. So I'm not terribly excited about that. Not terribly excited. But let's see, but how is the structure? Zoom in a little bit more here. So the structure, Power Plant, how are you, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, see how it's not, yeah, I would like it to be thicker. The crema would like to be thicker. Plus, you could see that in the moment, you could see some of the black coffee on the sides as I was like swirling it. All right, let's have a taste. Yeah. A bit thin. I mean, it's still got a nice flavor, but it's not that, like I want, and this is not, but this is just the first shot. We didn't clean out anything. We just kind of went with it because we're just trying to see where is the grind and do we need to make a change. I think that the speed at which it came out and the fluffiness in which it produced the coffee, plus those two parts, I think, to me, signify that we definitely need to fine up the grind a little bit, because we've gone now from 26 grams of coffee, and now we're down to 21. So we've eliminated 5 grams. So that extra 5 grams is going to create a lot more resistance that we need to compensate for now with finer grinding. Right? So if that makes sense. All right, let's go back here to our handy cam. This is what we use in NFL football. You know, they actually put a camera on guy wires and run it around like on a grid. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit finer. Now, I can't be too cavalier with the grinding change. So in this case, I'm scared to waste too much coffee, because not only am I going to have to grind to get it to close easier, but I'm also going to have to grind through it. So that's going to burn a lot of coffee. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to adjust it just a little bit. So you saw how much it moved. Okay, we're going to leave it there. And that's going to get rid of, hopefully that's going to get rid of pretty much what we need for it to get rid of. Uh-oh, why are you not? There we go. And now we're going to eject our grinds from in here. There's a lot of grinds. So let me show you this. You can see here, or let me get the lighting. There we are. You can see in here, there's the coffee. So we've got to eject all of that coffee now, because that's coffee that will not be very good, I don't think. Well, let's see how much coffee there is. We'll try to capture that and make a shot out of it, just so we can see whatever there is to see. So let me first brush around. Yeah, because there's quite a bit that we have there. So let's look at our puck first. Pretty good, nice and dry, good compaction. We stopped at the right point because there's no residual oils. Again, just kind of let it sit there for a moment to drip out. Then go back in with our cleaning. Good. And now we're just going to eject all of this coffee and see how much coffee. Oh, there's definitely not enough. Okay. There's definitely not enough. Let's see how much there is, though. 15 grams. Okay, 15 grams. We're going to get rid of that. Oh, and you can see here, look at that. Look how it's sticking. Even though I'm wiping, I'm missing spots because, look, it's still a little bit wet in those spaces because there's stickiness happening. So always try to be careful with that. Try to be a little bit more thorough. Here we go. Let's see. We adjusted the grind and flushed through it a little bit. Okay, that should be pretty good. Let's just move that around a little bit to get it in the center. And then that's still going to be a lot. Let us get rid of that and come over here to look. 21.8. Okay, that's good. Power Plant says, watching all the new gadgets to be announced at CES. Ooh, I have not seen all those announcements yet. All right, so now we're going to temp. I went to CES a long time. It's been a long time since I've been to CES. It was a lot of fun. We went to CES, gosh, it must be 20 years ago. Lately, in the last few years, I've been going to Vegas for the NAB show, which is the National Association of Broadcasters. All right, so there we go, ready to brew. Make sure we flush correctly. And now, lock and load. Oh, that's going to be a problem. Come on. Looking a little bit better. Oh, not too good, not good, not good. Oh, I don't like that at all. Stop that. I think we still need to go with a little bit more resistance, right? We're going to need a little bit more. Watch that, right? Especially whether you're in whether you're like at home or commercial setting, watch that and see how quickly that dried. That's dried really fast. So what I tend to do is I like to keep. If I'm in a situation in a commercial setting, I also have a milk towel ready that's wet. I will just bring that towel down and just come wipe around because that's wet, and that will rehydrate that and wipe it off. But for me personally, just now, I'm just going to use my. Now, if you're drinking this for yourself, this is just, for your own personal enjoyment, whether you want to like wipe that or not. If you're, having guests over your house, you may want to do that just because, they'll think you're better. Now, look at this one. This one looks a lot nicer, right? Too bad that's all gone. But if you look back, you can see we've got a lot more, browning of our crema. It doesn't have that light tan color anymore. So I like this style. This is getting closer to what we want. Power Plant says, Samsung's 3 folding Galaxy Phone 1 best product. Ooh, it's basically an accordion folding phone with 3 screens. Over 10, wow, really 10 screens? That's incredible. Oh, so there must be 3, 9. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I'll look it up. That sounds interesting. Okay, better. An improvement, but not exactly what we want. I want to go tighter. So now let's say, normally, under normal circumstances, I will want to do one more shot to confirm where we are. However, we are now at this point where criticality is, it's like, look at that. There's to my mind, there's nothing left. Like we're at the dregs of what we have here. We're in deep trouble now. We're in deep trouble. So now what we have to do is we're just going to have to make an executive decision. And my decision is that we're going to change the grind one more time and see what we can see. So what I'm going to do, there's some more coffee left inside the hopper. I'm going to use it all, meaning what I'm going to turn the grinder on, make an adjustment, let it run a little bit. We're going to use all that coffee, even though it's all going to be hemajang as far as like size-wise. We're going to see what happens to it. So here we go. Okay, that made our adjustment. I moved it probably just maybe a tick or so. Grind a little bit more. Okay, now let's have a look at our previous puck. Okay, fine. Good. Drip it out. Everything's dripping here, which really, as you guys all know, that makes me irritated. White counters is what makes me irritated. All of our counters at Spro were dark, so I would never see any of these. Now I'm just irritated. Every day I'm irritated here. Okay, there's some bouldering down here, but we're going to add more because that's not going to be enough. Okay, now we're getting close to that. That should be close. And even though we've got a little bit of like, the valley here, we have a bit of a mound here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this around, fill that valley in. Now, I don't come all the way over to fill it all because I don't want to lose coffee. So I'm just going to come back and forth and work it around. I think this is going to be a little bit too much, but let's wipe off this excess here. Let's have a look. Yes, too much, a little bit too much. So let's get rid of this. We'll just get rid of it now. Come back. 22.8. Gosh, we still need. We're already pretty low. Look at that, man. We still need to get a little bit less. Oops, not that one. No, not that one. There we go. 22.5. What? 22.5. Goodness. This time, okay, you can see the level here. So 22.5, but look at the level of the coffee inside the basket. It's pretty much where we've been the whole time. So this really shows us that by working that around that one time, because remember we had the valley here, So I'm working around that distribution. It shows really that distribution has settled more coffee into the basket than we had previously. So not that that's necessarily a big deal, but you just want to know, that's just an interesting detail to keep in mind, that the more you work it, the more you will be able to fit it in. So I'm going to need to just a little bit, like I'm removing now, because it's below the rim, I'm removing coffee that I feel uncomfortable removing. 22.3. Wow, still not there. Okay. Oops. Goodness, you gotta be kidding. I mean, like now we're like concaving this thing. Now, see, there is a concave in that. Look at that. 21.8. We're going to stay with 21.8. And only because I just don't want to remove more. Like I feel uncomfortable removing more, and I've already created a divot here. So look at that. That does not make me happy. We're going to see what that does to it. Okay. Let's get rid of our first cup. Yesterday I was out and about, and I came across this antique shop, and it turns out it was an antique mall. And I thought, let me just stop in and have a look. I thought I'd be there for a couple of minutes. I was there for like 2 hours looking around. It was terrible. But this one place had these really cute, like crystal espresso demi-tasse cups. I owned for like $16 for 4. I almost bought them. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's really making a mistake. See how it's fluttering like that? Oh, there, that. To me, I don't know how long it's taking really, because I'm not running a timer, but to me, this feels too short. Like I want it to take longer. I want it to be flowing slower out of the spouts. I feel it's fast, but it doesn't look terrible. Right? That doesn't look like the worst espresso you've ever seen. It looks not bad. It looks not bad. Power Plant says LG has a new TV that is thinner than an iPhone. What? With no external boxes like previous versions of the TV. That's crazy. I wonder how much is that? And lots of humanoid robots that no one wants. Lots of health gadgets for America's aging population. I mean, at the rate that we're going, it's going to be the aging population that will need the robot, because who's going to care for them? Power Plant says, in the last few years, the amount of Chinese slop being showcased at CES is depressing, because people want it, man. People want it. Oops, wrong one. All right, let's have a taste of it. Oh, let's have a taste of this. No, that's not very nice. It's kind of thin. It's not rich. It's not the oomph that I want to have in an espresso. Not very pleasing at all. Actually, I feel like this was worse than the previous one. Now we're getting soft. Yeah, see. All right, let's try again. Now we're critical. Again, back to critical. We're going to run out of coffee today. We're going to run out of coffee because look at that. Not a good day. Not good. Whoa! In a commercial environment, I would throw that out. I would put this now into the bin so that we get cleaned and sent to the cleaners. But today, since we're just here and I'm not serving anyone but myself, I will dig it out of the trash can and reuse it. Okay, here we go. Let's do that. That's way too much already. Okay, that looks better. Okay, let's go and have a look at the 22.8. Good Lord. 2. You gotta be kidding me. Now I'm getting irritated because now we're really like now we're really pushing below it. 21.5. We'll try 21.5. Dump that rubbish out. That was not it's not that the shots are bad. The shots, I think a lot of people would enjoy the shots. I just don't like them. It's just not to my taste, I'm just like. And remember, when you're making espresso at home, you're making it for yourself. So it's to your taste, right? Whatever you like is what's right. Doesn't matter what I tell you. Okay, so let's go back here. Now we're ready to go here. Okay, we've got this done. Let's go over here. 21.5. Push this down. Gosh, that feels low. The one nice thing about having these lower amounts of coffee is that it fits better in the portafilter or the group head. No. I don't like that. See, I don't like the way it does that, right? So that tells me that we really need to get a little bit more hardcore on the grind. I'm going to get a little bit hardcore on the grind now. So that time I really went far because I'm getting kind of irritated. Okay. Let's go over here. Like that, like swish down the center. But that's okay. I'm not hopeful. Or at least I'm not optimistic. So a lot more brighter. Actually, that's a very clean. It's a very clean, crisp kind of espresso. Huh. But I still think it's fast. I want it to be like, I want it to release itself. I want it to be, like nice and thick and like really just a richer coffee. And we're just not getting it. Since we've reduced so much coffee from how we had been doing it, we need to compensate for that by finer grinds. And we just I have not been getting on the grind as fine as I should be because we're being a little bit too ginger with it. Now, we're not being ginger anymore. Now we're going to now we're kind of pissed off. We're not going to take it anymore. That's what it is. And look at that. See, I don't like that at all. Look at the way that it's getting all like ripply. And that fell apart a lot easier. I much prefer the compaction. As I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm wondering maybe we should be going in a different direction, or should have been going in a different direction, right? What am I talking about? We had a grind setting where we ended up, it turns out we were putting 26 grams of coffee into this portafilter. We're getting nice looking shots that I liked. I was like, but it's also a lot of coffee, so you're using a lot more coffee. It's not wasting, you're consuming a lot more coffee, so your yield is shrinking. But the shots I thought were what I like to see. Now, to drop it back down to 21 grams, we have to make some compensations. And what we've been doing is by going down to 21, we're less amount of coffee, and we've been compensating for that by going finer, which has the way that we've been doing. But I was just thinking now for a moment, like, what if we had gone the other way? We're reducing the quantity of coffee. Yeah, that doesn't. There's no. And I'm thinking, what if we increase the coarseness of the coffee to create the ideas that you create bigger particulates so they don't compact as well, but and they would fill more of the basket. But then again, the problem there is that we're still trying to create resistance, and larger particulates allow greater space between them, which gives greater flow to the coffee and under extraction. So, all right, let's try again. All you can do is go until you're done and no more coffee's left. So I did not adjust the grind. Let's see how much coffee we have in here. Not very much. Okay, we're there. Down. Now that time I was a little bit more. I came around this way, pulled back, pushed it this way, came around again. I think that's what I did. Okay, so that's our, let's see how much that weighs. Gosh, still 24. You gotta be kidding me. Still at 22. Very, very. Like I'm really digging underneath the level of what I like. Like now I'm actually going down. I'm actually going into the, like that, scooping into the coffee. You gotta be kidding. Okay, we'll stay with that. 21.7. I may just go back to the old way I was doing it. Okay, here we go again. Put it, lock and load. I want that resistance. I want it to be really slow coming out and thick and like juicy looking. Not juicy, but really thick and like molassesy looking. Okay, there we go. Come on, baby. Give me something. See, getting closer. Look at that. That's a little bit better. That start of the flow is a lot better than I've been seeing. Like I'm a little bit happier with that. I'm happier with the time. It's taking a little bit of time. Okay, stop there. All right. An improvement. Finally, an improvement. And this is a shot that we have a mixture of new setting grinding and whatever was left in the so we're getting close now. We should be close, and hopefully the next one will give us results that we're going to be happier with, or at least I'm going to be happier with. Okay, that's better, like better coloration, a little bit rougher, like the darkness on the edge. I like that. Power plant says, this is the level of faff that has me stop home espresso. True, I quit once before because I could not get it dialed in, wanted too much coffee, then pour over. I hate wasting beans. Me too, I was raised by parents who instilled equal Depression era frugality. Andrew says, morning, joining with espresso and homemade biscuits, slavered with Bon Maman fig preserves. Excellent choice, excellent choice. Coffee Cove says, same here with my grandparents. Yeah, it was their parents who instilled it with them. And then, absolutely. Now, yeah, I mean, I get it. We burned through a lot of coffee just to get this one shot. And, that's why I think home espresso is very frustrating for most people. Like, I'm at least 22, 23, who knows how many 20-stuff years into this craft. And this many years in, we're still struggling with it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a little bit rougher of a pathway. Making brewed coffee is so much simpler. All right, looks pretty good, man. That looks pretty good. Okay, it looks nice. It just doesn't have the body. It doesn't have the oomph. The oomph. Okay, we're pretty much at the last resort. Will we be able to make great and beautiful espresso finally on this episode? Or will we run out of coffee and come up with the agony of defeat? We'll find out right now. Will I end up being the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens? Okay, now we have to get serious. Get serious. All right, so we've got almost no coffee left. Like, look at that. There's pretty much nothing left. I think there's just stuff on the side. I think we have enough to grind one more. All right, look at that. I can take this off. Watch this. Look at this. I can take this off and I will have no spillage. Oh yeah, look at that. It's below the collar. Well, that is like almost nothing. Okay, this is it. This is it. This is it. This is like the game face now. We're gonna close our door so that we don't have too much popcorning. All the popcorning that's gonna happen is gonna be contained in there instead of flying into the upper hopper. Now, the nice thing about this, though, is that I'll now have the opportunity to clean this out because it looks a little bit dirty. It could be clean. We're also going to utilize everything that's in here now, and let's go. I'm just going to grind through the entire thing and let it rock and roll. Okay, there it is. Stakes are high, my friends. The stakes are high. See, here's the problem with like doing all that divoting stuff. Look at that. There's a little gouge there. Why are you there? And look how this just makes me so unhappy. This soupiness. Maybe we a little bit over extracted there. Maybe, yeah, a little bit. Okay. Coffee Co says I picked the Baltimore Browns. Yeah, the Ravens, my team, lost dismally on over the weekend to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is our arch rivals. Although, I gotta say, like I've been a Ravens fan for, what am I doing? Totally thought I was on the other camera. I've been a Ravens fan for many years, many decades now. And I was very rabid about 10, 12, 15 years ago. Like had season tickets and all that. And back then, man, the only thing, like the Super Bowl was great to. I was there at the Super Bowl year, but I remember like the hatred for the Pittsburgh Steelers was so intense back then that like we played. There's in American football, we played 2 games against each team in the division per season. So 2 games, twice against the Pittsburgh Steelers. If we lost every other game, and only won the ones against the Steelers, fine. That's fine. That's great. The season was a success, right? But we could have gone to the Super Bowl and lost both games to the Steelers. It would be a disaster, right? But as time has gone by, as we march forward, the Steelers back then, God, there was like Ben Roethlisberger and Polamalu and all these people. God, they were just like, you hate, like you're a Baltimore person, you hate those people. Like you just hate them, right? You hate them with a burning passion. Like you want to burn the terrible towel at all times. But as those players left, and some of my friends we'd be watching games and they'd be like, let's say we're winning and we're playing the Steelers, right? I remember one time, one of my friends, we were like ahead. We were pretty well ahead. And he was like, I think we're going to win. I was like, dude, you need to shut the hell up. Like, if we're 4 minutes out, or maybe 2 minutes, maybe we're in the 2-minute warning. He was like, I think we're going to win, man. I was like, you need to be quiet, man. You need to be quiet because you can never say that with the Steelers because at any moment, we could be up 36 points. These guys in a minute and a half can find a way to defeat us. And they've done something like that in the past, which is why they're such a good team. They were such a great team that's what fueled the intensity of that rivalry. It's like, man, these guys are good because you can never let up. And it was never one of those things where like, we're beating the pants off of them and the game is over. Like it was always right down to the end of the game. You're like, we're going to lose. We may not win. Right? This is a terrible thing, right? Like I really didn't enjoy, like it was like, what I'm meaning by all this is that later, as the years progressed and those players left and it was a different team. So when we were winning against them later, like let's say over the last 5 years, it's not as sweet. It's just not as sweet because they're just not as good a team as they were then. Like then everyone was at their zenith and now it's like, all right, let's get to our coffee. Now that we had our football tangent. Okay, so there it is. Oh, I still got more coffee left. Looks like we could do another shot. All right, so we're just going to push it around. We have adjusted the grind quite dramatically. I have just pushed it pretty hard. Let's see how much coffee's in here. Oh my gosh, really? 24? I mean, I am digging it out of there. Like, that really makes me irritated. Oh, you gotta be kidding. I mean, look at that. That's... Oh, yeah, I didn't even do anything that time. That was nothing. That was nothing. Goodness. Like, I am hollowing it out now. I'm hollowing this thing out. Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me. Son of a gun. That looks terrible. Whoops. Oh, now we're less. Okay, forget this. This is making me irritated. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the coffee that's here. Some of our FAF coffee. That's got to be somewhere around 21 by now. Come on now, 21. Oh. You're killing me. You're killing me. You're killing me. Okay, good. Now, here's something that you're not going to see me do under normal circumstances. Look at this coffee bed. That just looks like rubbish. And now we're below the line. So what am I going to do with this? Okay, this is the very first time I'm ever going to say this. So you're here for a historical event. And to my mind, the way to address this kind of rubbish is now finally there is a purpose for the WDT. Huh. See, you learn something new every day. So now, here it is, first time really needing a WDT. We're going to use this and do our... So what I'm doing is I'm going to rake it to try to get it to move over evenly. And then I'm going to try to rake it so that we get even spacing. See, power plant, there's a reason for everything, right? You live long enough, you get to see all kinds of stuff. All right. You know how sometimes when I evacuate this stuff, the puck falls out? Like, I was just thinking before I twisted, I was like, if this falls out, I'm really going to be upset. Okay, so there we are. We're ready to go. Let's have a double check on our weight. 21.2. Okay. That is some pretty low volume. But the weight says it all. We're at the right weight, so... Why am I giving that look? Because I'm looking here, 579. That seems lower than we've had in the past. Now suddenly I feel like we've been setting ourselves up for failure. Let us have a look and make a shot. Okay, here we go. Flush the group head. Lock and load. Through there. Oh, there's a lot of resistance on this one. Oh, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Yeah, there you go, Daddy. Oh, yeah, Daddy, that looks pretty good. See how it's still holding thin? A little bit shaky here. But we're getting close to being finished. Oh, there. See that wobbly? Oops. That wobbliness, it was just wobbling like that. That's, and then there's the resultant blonde. Okay, this could be something, this could be worthwhile. Could be worthwhile. Now, there's a little bit of bubbling, right? There's some bubbling here, some burbujas on the edges. We want to get rid of that. That's more of an aesthetic thing rather than anything, you know, good. At least see the burbujas, the dos burbujas there. We want to get rid of that. So now we're ready to eat or drink. Okay, better. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not getting that richness, that heavy body that I get from like the other shots. You know, at the end of the day, I might just go back to those other shots. This is not. This is good. Actually, that's good. There's a light kind of like cacao, like a milky cacao. What I mean by milky, not milky cacao, but like, I don't know, the best way I can think about it, describing it, is like there's the cacao character on the flavor, on the palate, on the tongue. But there's like a powderiness to it. Don't inhale so much. Okay, that's pretty good. Not exactly what I like, but that's pretty good. Now let's see what we got left. There was a bunch of stuff left inside. Oh, let's look at the puck first. Let's look at the puck and see what's happening. Okay, so soupy. Look at that, so wet. Look at that. Look, I can dig it out. That just, see, I did that because I'm getting irritated. Yeah, that's rubbish. Like, I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. I think that in this case, I would probably want to go to a shallower basket. Because this is just way too much space. I'm probably getting a lot of expansion, which is affecting the way that it's brewing. Okay, let's go now and take the rest of our, whatever coffee's left, we're going to try to get it in here and see what happens. I mean, I could grind. There's no reason for it because there's nothing left. Oh, and I lost some. Now we need to try to conserve all of this. We're going to try to utilize everything. All right, now whatever's in here, we're going to use. I'm not going to get rid of any of it, right? Except for the ones in the wings, because those just need to go away. Okay, there it is. A little bit of, so this is going to be like 22, 23. Maybe 24 grams. Let's have a look. 24.5. Ah. Okay, now we're just going to push that back to the center, tamp it all down. We should be getting a little bit thicker results this time because there's, you know, another 3 grams more. Yeah, see that extra 3 grams is giving greater resistance, so it's thinner here, slower pouring, darker crema. Look at the crema; it's much darker. Oh yeah, this is more along my speed. That wavering right there, done. Okay, that's more like it, baby. That's what I'm liking more. Let's have a look over here. I like the color. I like the way that it flowed out. I like the amount of volume. Get rid of those bubbles. Pretty good. Yeah, definitely an improvement in body, thickness, viscosity. Oh, that's more bad. That's more like it. I might just go back to this whole like more dosing, like honestly, what do I care? What do I care with being frugal with the coffee, right? And I don't mean that necessarily as like, oh, I'm some kind of guy that has a coffee roasting company and I just can, waste as much coffee as I want. I don't mean it that way. Although perhaps that does play a part of it. But more just like, if you're making espresso, like you can pick these standards, 18, 21, 19, whatever it is. And I think in a commercial setting, you want to have that to make it more consistent and make it more simplistic and for pricing and understanding your costs. But if you're at home and you're making coffee for yourself, man, does it really matter? Maybe it doesn't. I don't think it matters. Maybe it doesn't matter at all because, now you're making for yourself. You just want something you enjoy. Like these other ones we've been doing at 21, 21.5, 21.8, 21.7. They're good, but they're not like, I'm going to crawl out of bed and turn my machine on and let it heat up and do some grinding and waste some coffee kind of good. It's not that good. Like this is more approaching that level. Like, this is good. So maybe all this stuff we talk about, being conservative with your usage and like, maybe that's just stupid. Like that's just dumb. Why are we even bothering that? Just make coffee, put as much as you can, put as much as you want to get the results that you like into your espresso. So what if everybody else is doing 18 in and you end up 26? Who cares? Who cares? Like, yeah, what would the ratio be on that? So let's say 453 grams, right? So let's say 453 grams, 453, divide that by 21. Let's divide that by 18, 25 shots. Okay, good. Then 453 divided by, let's say 26 that we've been doing, 17. Wait, what did I say the last number was? I can't even remember. So like Alzheimer's, 453 divided by 18, 25, 453, 25, remember 25 divided by 26, 25 and 17. So nearly 10 shots less in a pound, which is a dramatic amount of difference. But if the results are something that you are enthusiastic about versus, I'm making espresso. And like you guys said, am I going through all of this work to get mediocre results? Is that worth it? No, it's not worth it at all. If you're going to get great, stellar results that you're like, oh, that's awesome, then I think it's worth it. So I don't know if that's a good takeaway or not for today's episode, which means that we haven't really done anything. Naomi says, I would push the grind finer because I'd rather err on the side of over-extraction than under. Agreed. I definitely prefer that. I find I have less coffee waste while dialing in. And Powerplant says, you can see why dose to grind machines fell off. Single dose and grind by weight makes dialing in much faster. I can see that. Mom says we can't see. Yeah, I know. Sorry. So sometimes I'm not really seeing what's happening on the screen and I make mistakes. Oh, Mom says I didn't. I know. Sorry. Coffee Cove says, I hear the guy is a top candidate for the Browns head coach. Good. Get him out of here. Hope he goes somewhere else. I have no love for Harbaugh. None at all. And he was our coach when we went to the Super Bowl. And I thought he was a great coach then, but now, no, not at all. It's still that way between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Yeah, which reminds me, there was a time, I used to joke with one of my baristas because he was from Buffalo. He didn't enjoy this joke. But I mean, back then, in 2012, 2010, the Buffalo Bills were in their fallow years. And, there was a lot of hatred between the Steelers and the Ravens. And a lot of hatred between, Cowboys and, well, pretty much everybody on the planet. But I would joke with people nobody gets upset about the Buffalo Bills, right? Because the Buffalo Bills were doing absolutely nothing back then. Now the Bills are a team to be reckoned with, but back then they were in their fallow years. So it's but like I said, now the Steelers to me they're not the team that they were. So the victory over them isn't as sweet, and perhaps I'm also not as engaged a Ravens fan as I had been in years past. Like, I mean, I used to go to every game, go to the home games, go to the bar, or go to the club or whatever, cigar shop, watch the away games. Like, I'd be in Honolulu, be like, it's game time. I got to go to the bar. I'd reserve a spot at the bar. There used to be a place called Home Bar on Kalakaua Avenue outside of Waikiki. And I was like, hey, man, I need a table for the Ravens. They're like, okay. And I'd be like the only Ravens person in the entire place. Like the Ravens fan, if you're traveling the world, Ravens fans, there's a few of us out there, but there's very few compared to other teams. Like in Honolulu, a lot of Steelers fans. Like, you guys never been to Pittsburgh. What do you guys know? But anyway, like the nice thing about that is that let's say a 1 p.m. game. So you go to the games, right? We go to the games, we get up at 7, get ready, head down to the stadium, right? You know, and you have like your whole tailgating going on. You'd be there like by 9 o'clock and you're like tailgating, partying, having a great time. Game is at 1. You get out at 4. You go home. You know, by 6 p.m. you're home, or maybe 6 p.m., maybe 7, or if you go out later, who knows? Man, your day is toasted, completely destroyed. You're like, man, this is terrible. But in Honolulu, when I was there, it'd be like 1 p.m. game. I'd get up, I had my reservation, drive over to the home bar. Game starts at 7 a.m. in Honolulu, right? So you're like, well, 7 a.m., man, it's early. And you're at the bar, you're drinking, you're partying, eating wings and all this. You're like, 7 a.m. It says the game is over by 11 a.m. You're like, it's 11 a.m. Well, I got a whole day to go out and just enjoy it. It was, to me, I was like, man, this is the way to enjoy football. Like you can watch football and have the rest of the day for yourself. Like, wow, man, there's still a whole day to live. Whereas, you know, here at home, it'd be like, man, just totally, that's it. And you'd be wasted. Just be wasted. You're tired. It's terrible. It's terrible. Power Plant says, Steelers icon is in the top 5 of the NFL. The stupid stars. Neighbor says, makes me wonder how I'm able to make coffee with 18-gram dose. That's because you're better than I am. That's probably why. And look how much darker. Yeah, it turns out so much better, right? That turns so much better that way. Those later shots, like, and the flavor is so much nicer this way. Anyone else surprised they made a sequel to the? I just saw that yesterday. I just saw like a notice about Greenland 2. I was like, Greenland 2, they made a sequel. Even I was like, they made a sequel? Why? I guess they're getting the hype ready. They're getting the hype ready for Greenland, right? Greenland is a bad country that needs the taming of America to make it to change it from the savage land that it is, filled with savages, into a more refined capitalistic society where they can be exploited. That's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. We will be invading in not too long. We're going to invade. That's our whole deal. We're going to invade. Is your basket bigger than typical? Yeah, this is a bigger basket. I think this is a VST basket, I said. Let me rinse it out. I think I might. Do I have another basket? I must have other baskets lying around here somewhere. Let me just take this out. We can look at the basket size. I'm almost 100% positive this is a bigger basket. Oh yeah, look at this. You can see. Like here's another double basket. This is what we've been using. I think this is the VST. This is VST. I can't really see anymore. I can no longer see, but you can see here, this is thinner, right? Slightly thinner. So really, this is not going to hold as much coffee as this. So probably with 18 or 21 grams, this is going to be the better choice because you're not going to have as much space to go in. And you can see here, oh yeah, this is definitely VST. Because see how fine the mesh, the perforations are? Right here. So the VST is actually more like a 3-gram. I think it's more of a 3-shot basket, where this is a double shot basket. And look at the difference in perforations, right? You can just see so much more finer, much more coarse. Actually, now that we talk about it, I'm glad you brought that up. I would actually try this, but since we have no more coffee, well, that comparison is done because I have other espresso 99, but they're actually different components in the newest one. So it's like, it would not be an apples to apples comparison. PowerPlant says, the cutest thing I ever saw at CES was the robot vacuum that has little legs and cut. Oh, that's cool. I always wonder about that. Like, there was a time when I really wanted to get one of those Zumbas or Roomba, whatever they are, the little robots that drive around. I was like, I like that idea. Right now, I have my CT MIDI, my Festool dust extractor vacuum. I have it in the house because I've been vacuuming around the house. And I'm like, this is awesome. Is it better than other vacuums? Probably a little bit, but is it that much better? No. But I just think, because I'm all into the whole Festool things, I'm like, totally, this is cool. Like, imagine if you had a meticulous or decent made vacuum and you're like vacuuming around your house. Like, is it better than other vacuums? Maybe not, but it's still, you're kind of like, oh, this is awesome. Just the idea, like, this. I have a fantasy of like getting one for the house. Like, I should just get one for the house and keep it in the house. But that's just ridiculous. Coffee Cove says, when the Browns moved to Baltimore in 1998, actually it was 1996. We started in 1996. A lot of Browns fans cheered for the Buffalo Bills. Oh, interesting. I know a lot of people like to compare the whole like Browns, Ravens thing to the Colts. And perhaps you feel that way, but I don't necessarily think that because, like when the Colts went to Indianapolis, like that was a cold, it was the middle of winter, so it was cold, but it was a cold day here in Baltimore. And like the coldest thing is that, the Colts had been here for generations and they took their legacy with them. When the Modells moved Browns to Baltimore, they did not keep the legacy of Cleveland. So Cleveland has their legacy. Cleveland has their history. Baltimore has been robbed of their history and their previous glory by people that like to pound pork, slices of pork into thin and batter it and fry it deeply so it's crispy, crunchy goodness with like lemon and stuff like that. Savages. Tenderloin. If you ever go to Indianapolis or if you ever go to Indiana, something called Hoosier Tenderloin. Like I found out about when I was there a couple years ago. I was like, what is this Hoosier Tenderloin? And if you look online, they have a Hoosier Tenderloin trail. You can like travel across the state eating at the famous Tenderloin joints. It's actually a worthwhile pursuit. I went to one place. I only went to one place. I was only there for a day. But I had this one in the middle of nowhere. I found this town in the middle of nowhere, somewhere between Fort Wayne and Chicago, Argo. I think it's Argo, Indiana. And man, it was hella good. I was like, okay, that's good. They're super nice. Those people in middle of Indiana, they're very nice. I can't hate on them. Naomi says, if it's a bigger basket, then it makes sense to go larger dose. Yeah, and this one will hold bigger doses. And I think that's why we started using them when they first came out, because we went for the large, they had the larger basket than these, right? That was one of the big things. Like in the professional circles, this was one of the big things, was to go for the bigger basket because we wanted to put more coffee. Why? I don't know why. I no longer remember. Many things happen that I no longer remember. Like probably all the stuff they show in Stranger Things, I don't remember. Like I haven't seen it yet. Like my friends are all like, have you watched it? No. Should I? I lived it. Do I want to go back? Like how a lot of people I talk about going to high school, they're like, oh, I loved high school. I didn't enjoy high school. Like high school was fine. Like I had a good enough time, but I was like, I never want to go back. Like I never reminisce about those times. Like one of my good friends, like he loves to reminisce about the times we had in high school. I'm like, dude, let it go, man. Like I have done so many more awesome and interesting things since high school. That high school was like such a small footnote in life. Like, I don't know, maybe high school is your highlight. I don't mean to criticize your experience, but man, I just like, I don't know if I ever want, I have a nostalgia for the 80s, but do I need to go back and live it? And then if I watch a show, I'll inevitably get destroyed by it. Like I remember when I was watching The Americans, right? The show about the Russian spies and they were deep embedded into America with Reese and what's her name? I can't remember. Anyway, so I grew up in this area, right? Baltimore, DC. So I knew it intimately from the 80s. And like they did a very good job recreating pretty much the entire world from the 80s in that show. And I was like, okay, this is pretty good. Then one day, so if between Virginia and Maryland, there's a bridge called the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. And if it's on Interstate 95, and if you drive between the two, you're going to drive over this bridge. It's It was a drawbridge when we were young, and it's still a drawbridge today, technically, but it's now this beautiful, wide, like four bridge expanse, when back then it was like, maybe they got 4 lanes out of one span, right? One span of the Potomac River. But distinctly different, like incredibly different. Like you would never mix the two if you saw them together. And for whatever reason, in one of the last episodes of The Americans, they did like a flyover shot of, like, maybe they were driving across the bridge and they showed the bridge, and I was like, they showed today's bridge, the modern bridge. I was like, come on, guys, couldn't you CGI that or just cut that out? You didn't even have to. It was the only thing that they had done in that show that destroyed the illusion. I was like, so I always think that if I watch Stranger Things, I'd be like, oh, that's not true. Like, that trimline phone did not look like that back then. All right. When the Browns moved to Baltimore, we said that already. Is there enough coffee left to do another using smaller bags? No, unfortunately, there is no more. I mean, I ground the entire apparatus of coffee here. Let me show you. Like, unfortunately, there's nothing left. There's nothing left in the grinder. Right, let me grab the light. Like, there's nothing in there. There's nothing in here. Here's the burrs. Oh, here's a chance for us to look at the burrs. You can see here the burrs. These are 83 millimeter flat burrs. You can just see the edges of them, right? But this collar is so big because it's pretty much encompassing most of the burrs. And at the roastery, I used to keep a set of burrs for demonstration purposes. I don't think I have a set of burrs here. It does not look like it. Anyway, but they're one of the larger size burrs. I mean, they'll go up to like 100 plus millimeters, 4 inches. And then, as you can see in the hopper, there's really nothing. Unfortunately, there's really nothing left. Like, there's just some. You can see some coffee in there, just kind of static, clean to the side, or maybe on the other side of that clear plastic collar, but there's really nothing left to speak of. Otherwise, I'd be happy to make another shot. Right. So don't worry about the date. No big deal. Like, that wasn't meant to be a chastising thing. Like, oh, you don't know. Nah. Russell says a lot of people peaked in high school. Oh, yeah, I know. I mean, but my friend that I'm thinking about, like, he's gone on to do great things in his own life. Like, he's very accomplished in his field, very well respected in his field. But I'm like, dude, what? Remember we did this? I was like, no, dude. And honestly, he'll talk about stories, be like, remember we did this? And I was like, and I just think to myself, is, oh, that's awesome, right? And all I can think is that it sounds awesome. Like, it sounds like we had a great time. Like, if I was to be told this story, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. That was awesome. You guys were awesome. I have no recollection of half of the stuff he talks about. I'm like, what? I did that? Really? I was like, all right, cool. I'm glad somebody remembers, because I can't remember any of it. All right. Any other? So that's pretty much it. We were moderately successful in getting the grind dialed in at the very last moment, but we did jump up. Well, the last shot we jumped up in a little bit in our dosing. So I think that, again, I think back to what I was saying earlier, don't get too hung up on dosing. If you find an amount of coffee that works, and I think the basket does have an impact on that, right? Like, I find that I'm seeing now that with this larger VST style basket versus a standard La Marzocco basket, that this will hold more volume than this. So therefore, you're going to have more soupiness as you lower your amount. So if you're going to go for smaller amounts, go for a tighter basket. Because I like to keep the coffee tight and the expansion minimal, so that so basically the idea is that let's say this is your dispersion screen in your group head. What I want it to close up and you lock it in and it's really tight, right? So your coffee bed, I like it to be really close or touching the dispersion screen. That way there's no real room for expansion. I don't want there to be much expansion in the coffee bed, which is why when we see the last couple shots, it's very like ripply and soft, is that there's just too much. So that means that there's too much expansion happening because once the coffee gets wet, it hydrates and then swells. So that lifts it up. And what I really want it to be like, I want when it hits the water hits to it, I want it to be like slamming tight against the dispersion screen, because I just want it to push everything out. At least that's my theory. All right. I hope that helps. There's a little bit of thoughts on it. It's Thursday. If just in case you like cigars, I do a live stream on Thursday night. It's called the Thursday Night Hang on a different channel called the Ono Live channel. Used to be on this channel when we started, but now we moved it to another its own channel, so that it has its own little space in case YouTube wants to delete it. They won't delete all the coffee stuff. So if you like coffee, you like cigars, come join us on the Coffee and Cigars live stream. Very easy to understand. So today we're doing the Trinidad 55th anniversary cigar, and we're also going to be looking back at 2025 and seeing what the best cigars of 2025 were. So yeah, that's at 8 p.m. in case you're there. Mom is usually with us, so that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Back again tomorrow with another episode of the Coffee Q&A. So hope you have a wonderful Thursday or Thursday night. And for those of you in other parts of the world, we have a beautiful Friday. And see you next time.